Okay, to get started, I'll introduce myself. I'm Melissa Emery Thompson. I'm a professor of anthropology, and I'm one of the assistant vice presidents for research. And I've been involved in the Streamlyne testing and configuration process since last September. We've been doing a lot of work on just punching holes in this system and trying to get it ready to go so that our transition from Cayuse to Streamlyne is as painless as it can possibly be. So thank you for attending this morning, because getting some of the training is going to be really critical to making sure that we can move forward smoothly. I have a number of faculty research support officers on the call today, including Monica Fischel, Jennifer Kavka, Hannah Torres, Isella Roeder. I don't know if I missed any. So there are a bunch of folks that have also been working. Monica in particular has been working on this project alongside us since September and is very good in the system. So they will be, oh, and Christine Marquez, apologize. They will be able to answer some of the questions you may have in the chat. So while I'm doing the demonstration, that you can go ahead and plop questions in there, and they'll try to answer them if they're easy. If they're more complicated, they'll go ahead and stop me so that I can show you directly. I want to give you a kind of an overview. This is the training for proposals that will not be submitted through the grants.gov portal. So to kind of explain that, we had a lot of questions about this in training yesterday. Proposals to many federal agencies require submission through grants.gov. And grants.gov is set up so that programs like Cayuse and Streamlyne can integrate directly into them. And so what that means is that for a grants.gov submission, you could enter you will enter all of the proposal data, all of your attachments, all your budget information, everything that you need to go to that sponsor will go into Streamlyne, and you don't have to work in any other system. That's a really nice thing. It does take a bit more work and a bit more training. So we have separate training sessions that tackle the longer process of creating one of those grants.gov submissions. And so when you see the acronym S2S, that's system to system, and that just means that process of integration. So today we're going to cover the non-S2S proposals, and this is the vast majority of what we submit through through UNM. This includes private foundation proposals. It includes a lot of contracts. It includes National Science Foundation. And in these cases, we expect that you're going to be transmitting your proposal through some other system. You're either going to be emailing the documents to your sponsor, or you're going to be working in whatever system that they have set up to transmit it. So for example, the National Science Foundation, currently, I think a lot of folks are using Fastlane to submit their proposals. As of January, you will be required to use research.gov, which is not the same as grants.gov. And research.gov is a really nice system that NSF has set up just for itself. And you will find it very user-friendly. I think that transition will be fairly easy. But you will be doing all your proposal preparation in research.gov. And we don't want you to have to copy everything over into Streamlyne for us. So what we've done is created a proposal template that strips out a lot of the non-essential stuff. And so we're focused just on the information that UNM needs to collect in order to review your project, make sure we're meeting all the legal requirements, make sure that we're prepared in case an award comes in. So we anticipate that once you kind of get used to the initial confusion about poking around the system, once you're familiar with the system, you should be able to create a Streamlyne proposal record for one of these proposals in less than an hour. And so this shouldn't add a lot of additional administrative burden for you. The good news also is that we have the Faculty Research Development Office that has been very well trained in this new system, and that they're here to support you for, during the transition and after the transition, if you're encountering any problems in Streamlyne. We also have a website that Monica can drop that website into the chat that can keep you up to date on the project timeline and has a bunch of training materials already available on it. We will be adding more, but you can right now go in and see step by step how to do different parts of the proposal document, how to create a budget, and that kind of thing. As far as the timeline goes, we anticipate, so currently we are working in what's called a configuration or testing environment. And that's where we're just trying to poke holes in it, trying to find all the problems and trying to create an environment that's as user-friendly as it can be. We anticipate that we'll have access to the live system that includes most of our configuration changes in the middle of September, very soon. And at that point, we're going to be doing some very limited testing of the platform. We're anticipating that we will be strongly encouraging the non-S2S submissions to be created in Streamlyne starting sometime in early October. And we will keep everybody up to date on that timeline. The good news again on this is that we have people that can help you. If you have a proposal that's due right after early October, we can help you with that. And the other good news is that because we're talking about submissions that will actually be made outside of Streamlyne, whether in research.gov or something else, nothing, if anything goes wrong in Streamlyne, that's not going to cause a problem for your actual proposal being submitted. It's something that we can resolve on our side. Beginning what we anticipate in mid-October, we're going to be transitioning to all proposals, including those grants.gov proposals being submitted through Streamlyne. Once we make sure that everything is working smoothly, and not until we make sure everything is working smoothly, we will go ahead and transition fully over to Streamlyne, and Cayuse will no longer be available. So the bottom line is that if you have a proposal that is due in October or early November, I would strongly suggest that you reach out to whatever administrative support you have in your program or to one of the faculty research support officers to let them know now that you plan a submission. Even if you haven't started working on it, just let them know what it is, how complicated is it, and they can help guide you through this process. The other thing that I wanted to remind everybody about is the OSP appointment system. If you're planning a proposal submission, we're still going to be using that appointment system. So you need to go in and request a proposal review. And at that time, which should be a couple days before the sponsor deadline, they'll go through everything with you, work with you to fix any mistakes, to attach any missing documents, and approve the proposal before it goes out. That's a nice cooperative process. Do we have any questions about the timeline before we get into the system or about anything that I just said? Jessica, please.
I just had a question about that review. Will it go back to being comprehensive, or is it going to stay a central component?
It should go back to being comprehensive for those proposals that require it.
Thanks.
Any others? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get into Streamlyne. Okay. And I've got my little people minimized, so I can't see you. If you have a question, please drop it in the chat for everybody, for the FRDOs to answer. Okay, so if you, Monica, can you please put in the link for the configuration site so people can access it? We're going to give you this link so that you can access our testing environment. The important thing for you to know is that the testing environment is just that. It's not connected to anything. So it's like a sandbox. You can play around in it and get to know the system, and you're not going to accidentally email your dean. You're not going to accidentally submit something to the sponsor. It's a safe environment. This is different than what you, if you've already been working in IRB. IRB is live in the real thing. So what I'm showing you today is a different version of Streamlyne. When you access that link, you're going to get a login screen. This just uses our UNM authentication system. So you'll click the top button for UNM user login. And if you're already logged into something at UNM, it should take you right in. Otherwise, just enter your net ID and password. And once you get in, you will see something that's called the action list. And for most of you, your action list is probably empty. Mine is fairly full because I've been doing all sorts of testing. The action list is essentially a list of things that require you to do something. So in this case, most of these are proposals or protocols that I've opened and worked with, but I haven't submitted or haven't been approved. And so they have the COM flag in purple, and that just means complete. My action is that I need to complete it. There are other kinds of actions that you may see, particularly if you're a unit approver. And let me see if I can find one of those. Here you go in red, this APP, that's a proposal that requires approval. And so that's in the routing queue. There will be a few other flags like this one, ACK is acknowledged, FYI. Those kinds of things don't require you to really do anything other than the proposal has been shared with you to look at. The action list does combine documents that come from the various different modules that Streamlyne has. And so that is proposal development. It includes something called quick proposal, which we're using for things like white papers, unfunded agreements, letters of intent. They include IRB module and a conflict of interest module. So you can see under type, we have all sorts of different things, including awards. If you scroll down a little further, you'll see sections that are essentially action lists for those individual modules. So this first one is proposals or quick proposals. And so these are all the things where I've been listed as a PI or where I've been working on that proposal. There are awards, there are IRB protocols all listed on as separate menus. So this is a quick way to navigate around the things that you've been working in. And to access a proposal, you would just need to click the little blue link with the ID number, or you can click show, and that will give you a little bit more information. If you don't recognize which one's which, it'll give you that information, and you can click open proposal to see it. If you are somewhere else in the system and you want to go back to your action list, you just click this button on the top left-hand corner of the screen. They call that a hamburger for some reason, and that'll take you back to your action list. To access the place where you go to create any kind of new Streamlyne document, you'll go to your main menu. And then as you scroll down, if any of you are in the system, you should see some things that have plus signs next to them. And those plus signs will be things where you can create a document. So most of you should have a plus sign next to proposal development and a plus sign next to quick proposal. You should see a plus sign next to some of these conflict of interest documents. I'm not going to go through the conflict of interest today. You should see a plus sign next to IRB protocol. IACUC is not a package that we're using, so you can disregard that. The other place that you'll see a plus sign is next to the address book under settings. And we'll come back to this and I'll show you how you can use that address book. So anywhere you see the plus sign, you can click that to create a new document. Now, if I were to click the word proposal development, that takes me to a lookup where I can find proposals that I've been previously working on. I need to actually click the plus sign in order to create a new one. And when I do that, I'm going to have two different options. This wording is going to be changed, so it'll be a little easier for you to understand. But essentially, you have the S2S, that's the grants.gov version. of the proposal development, and that's everything. You have to fill out the budget and all the attachments, everything that goes to the sponsor, or you can choose a template. And from this drop-down menu, you'll see again, applications submitted on grants.gov and all others. So that's what we're going to do today is all others. You can select that and click continue. Right, so we have now a template loaded that is the abbreviated version of the proposal. On the left side of the screen, you'll see a menu with different parts of the proposal development document. They include the basic proposal and sponsor information on the first page, a place to add key personnel, a place to add things like human subjects reviews, a place to add your attachments, some questionnaires, a place to put your budget, and essentially the rest of these are non-work areas. In order to create a new proposal development document, you have to fill out only this top section to get started and to save. It says required fields for saving documents, so that's what it is. And the first thing you're going to do is select your sponsor. And the sponsor in this case is going to be the source of the funds that you're applying to. If UNM is the lead institution, that's going to be the agency that you're applying to. If UNM is a sub-award to another institution, your sponsor will be that other institution. And the sponsor field here has a search attached to it. And you'll see throughout the system these magnifying glasses that are searches. Whenever you see one, don't try to enter anything in the field, just click that magnifying glass. And the searches kind of all function in the same way. It's probably the most important thing to learn up front is how to use these effectively, because it is just so much of the information that you'll need to enter. But they're fairly simple to use if you follow a few rules. And the important thing is that these function either as exact searches or as wildcard searches using the asterisks as your wildcards. And so what I mean by that is if you want to search for something like the National Science Foundation, you could try typing in National Science Foundation and you might come up with, you should come up with the right record, but maybe it's abbreviated in the database or something like that. So you can try searching for a part of the word, like you can just put in science and use asterisks on both sides of the word, and then it'll come up with anything that contains the word science. And obviously there's a lot of those. That might be a difficult way to find this particular agency. If it was agriculture, for example, you might come up with fewer search results. The other way you can do that without the asterisks, if you just say, let's say Sound Science Foundation, is that you can change these radio buttons on the bottom. By default, it's looking for an exact match, but you could change that to starts with or contains, and you should yield the same search results. So now this is everything that contains science and foundation. The sponsors also, the common sponsors have acronyms in the database. So I could search for NSF, I could search for NIH, and I should be able to come up with the correct results. I highly recommend that you only use one field when you do your searches. Don't try to fill in multiple fields, because if there's an error in one of them, it'll just stop everything. Okay. So now that I found the NSF, I'm going to click on return value to take my results back to my proposal page, and you can see it filled in the sponsor there. Everything else in this required fields is pretty standard. What kind of proposal is it? What is the project start and end date? Here you can just type in the information, or you can use the little calendar button to select your date. It's pretty forgiving. I'm going to skip lead unit for a second. This is, let's call it a research proposal. It is an application, and what is the deadline? And a title. Now, this will eventually be the title of the proposal that you actually give to your agency, but for now, you can type anything you want. Essentially, all of this information here can be edited up until the time that you submit it for review. And the exception there is this lead unit ID. The lead unit ID, when you click it, you should see only the unit IDs that you are affiliated with. I have the whole list here, but you should just see one or two. If you're not seeing the correct lead unit that you should be associated with, if you're missing some, please email me or email Monica, and we'll try to get that fixed for you ahead of the launch. Once you submit, or once you select a unit that you want to use, this becomes locked into the proposal. It's not so difficult to get around this, but it is something that's not obvious that you can change when you save. So I'm going to show that to you. I'm going to go to the bottom, click save. And now you see in this field, the lead unit ID is locked in. Everything else is still editable. I can change any of these options. The other thing that happened now is that I have a proposal number because I've saved the document. My proposal number 387 that I could give to a faculty research support officer or some other staff member or a co-PI that's working on the proposal with me to allow them to find it. So quickly, I'm going to go back to the main menu here and click on proposal development. And I should be able to search by that proposal number and find the one that I've been working on. So here I could go in and edit, I could view. I can also copy. And if you click copy, then you can actually change your lead unit ID. I'll go back to that later. The other way you can find your proposal is to go back to your action list and just go to the end of it. And you should be able to find, here's the proposal 387 that I was just working on. Okay. In the interest of time, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this next panel down, the sponsor and program information, because it's essentially the same information that you would be providing in Cayuse. It's not new. Not all of these fields apply to all proposals, but you're essentially just providing information on the type of opportunity that you're applying to. One important one here, though, is the prime sponsor. And so that is in the case of UNM being a subaward to another institution, the prime sponsor is the original source of the money. So if you are working with UC Berkeley is submitting a proposal to the National Science Foundation and UNM is the subaward, then up top, UC Berkeley is the sponsor, and here the prime sponsor would be the National Science Foundation. In the next section, you have the place where you can add all the collaborating institutions that you're working with. Once you've saved your document, you should see the University of New Mexico pop up here as the applicant organization. In most cases, that doesn't need to be changed. There are a few exceptions. For limited competitions, the branch campuses have their own UEI number for submitting proposals. And for some classified research, there's a separate UEI number. If that is the case, you can change the applicant organization using this search that has the magnifying glass here. Otherwise, should be fine with it as it is. Then there are two locations here for collaborators and subrecipients and performance sites. Collaborators is generally going to be institutions where your key personnel are located and where you have subawardees. And again, there's a search. You click that magnifying glass to access the search. And this is going to look at our organizations table. Now, for the case of subawardees, they have to be approved in OSP's system. OSP has to add them for you. We have copied over organizations from Cayuse, so most of them should be here. For example, if I look up Michigan, I can see all the institutions there and return the University of Michigan to my proposal and click add. You have to, it doesn't It's not obvious you have to click add there, but generally if you see a red button there, just click it. Okay, so if I add there, then I have the option you can see to select another one here, and I could add multiple subawardees. Again, if you need to add a subawardee, you need to contact OSP if you cannot find that institution in the database if they're new. Performance sites, however, can be anything, anywhere, right? So they do not require that pre-approval, and you can add a performance site on the fly. So when I click this search window, I have the option to look both in the organization table and in the address book. And so I'm going to show you the address book now. I'm going to go back here to the main menu and to settings and create an address book entry for a new performance site. The address book is also useful for external persons that may not be in the UNM database yet. And the basic idea is that once you have added either an organization or a person to the address book, they're available immediately for you to add to your proposal. So you don't have to stop and ask someone to put them in the database. They are also available to everyone for the future. So not just for this proposal, but for the future. So that you should only need to add your frequent collaborators once. The address book has a lot of information that you can fill in, but there's very little information that you actually have to fill in. And the important thing to keep in mind is how you might search for the entry later. So if it's a person that you're adding, you obviously want to fill in their name. You probably also want to put in their email address. If it's an organization, you don't necessarily need that. You would probably just be filling in the organizations and making sure that the country for that organization is correct. There's this little field at the top. So notice that there are asterisks next to some fields. Those are the required fields. You are required to enter a description. This does not matter at all. You should be able to enter whatever you want for the description. It's the stuff in this middle panel that matters. So I'm going to add here a new organization where I work to this blank field for organization. You'll notice the next field is required that says owned by unit. By default, this code is for the University of New Mexico, and that means that anybody at the University of New Mexico will have access to this record that you've created. You can change that. You can click on this magnifying glass and enter your own department or unit, and that means it will be easier for someone in, say, biology to find all the biology records, but you don't need to do anything there. So once you've entered that information here, all I need to do is click the correct country and the name. I can submit that address book entry, and that will be available immediately. I'm going to go ahead and create another new one for a person. Just to show you that, again, I could enter whatever I want. I'm going to put my initials here. And let's see, let's add Lisa Simpson, and we'll be able to use her in our key personnel. Lisa Simpson might be associated with an organization that is already in our database. If that's the case, you can use this link to organization instead of typing it in, right? So if she works at Berkeley, I can associate her with Berkeley. And you see that when I did that, when I used the search, that text field automatically filled in. If they weren't, again, in the organization table, I can just type something and that would work. So I've created two new address book entries. I'm going to go back to my action list and go to the end to find the proposal we were working on. And now, under sponsor and under organizations, I should be able to add the organization that I just created. And there it is. And I'm going to click add. I notice for some reason that my subaward E didn't come through. Let me try that again. Make sure to click add. I'm going to save and make sure that all worked. Okay. Delivery info is basically just who's going to submit the proposal, how are they going to submit it, are they going to use S2S? That's not for this template. Are they going to email it? Are they going to use a sponsored portal? You could write here that you're going to use research.gov, for example, and that OSP is the one who has to go in there and submit it. There's a section for keywords. This is for internal use, but it would allow you to find it allows the FRDO to link you up with potential funding opportunities. So if I'm an ecologist and I use that keyword, I can say I'm going to do a couple of these. And that will just assist us to guide you to new opportunities, but it's not essential for the proposal. At the bottom, you have document template. Most of the time, you don't need to touch that. This is only for if you've selected the incorrect version of the proposal development. Suddenly you realize this does have to be submitted through grants.gov. You can click this search and change the template. Now here's a little search trick. For many of these lookup tables, if you don't know what you're supposed to put in these search things, you can just do a blank search. So this is one where I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking for. I'm just going to click search. And in most cases, you will get a list of the possibilities. Sometimes there are hundreds, and so you'll only see the first 100 or 200. But here there's only 2 possibilities, and I can see those templates. If I needed to change that template, I could change it here. But I'm going to click cancel. All right, so that's all the proposal and sponsor information. The next section is for key personnel. And here you can add internal persons or external persons. And it's the same search function. You just have to change the radio button depending on whether you're looking internally or externally. So I'm going to look for an internal user. We have a fake user here called Lucy Lobo, or Lobo Lucy. You could search by the department or by the email address here. That would work. Once you find the right record, click return value, and you'll see this information populate. Confirm that it's correct, and then you need to assign a role to that person. So I'm going to make Lobo Lucy my contact PI. All proposals require a contact PI, and there can only be one contact PI. If you have a multi-PI proposal, there's a way to do that. I'll show you in a second, but let me go ahead and click add to officially add her. And when that's been done, you'll see a little red pane pop up right below with the name. In this panel, you will have the option to update any personnel details. We suggest checking the phone number to make sure that we can contact you in the right place. Most of this doesn't require editing. The one place you may need to make edits is under the unit department details. These are, which departments is this person submitting the proposal under. So for the lead contact PI, they will always be associated with the lead unit that you identified on the very first page. You can't delete that sticks to that contact PI. However, you can add additional units. You can delete units that are already there. So my record is associated with anthropology, so it automatically shows me as being associated with anthropology in addition to this other program. I can delete that if I don't want this proposal to be submitted under anthropology. I can use this search here to add another department that I do wish to, oops, I added an extra character, that I do wish to be associated. Say this one I'm going through biology. I can find biology, click add, and now my name is associated with these two programs. The other thing that the PIs will need to do is fill out a proposal certification, and that is located here. These are all of the legal questions that we currently ask in Cayuse. Of course, you're going to read them very carefully and assent that everything is correct and legal to the best of your knowledge, and click save. Now you see this change to complete. All of these have to be completed before the proposal can be submitted. And click save before I add a second person. Okay, to add an external person, then you're going to just change the radio button and again go to the search. So we added Lisa Simpson to our address book, so I can go down here and search for her name. And you can see there she is. I added her yesterday in my demo, so she's in there twice. You'll see her information populated here. And then I can assign her a role. So the other roles available are co-investigator and key person. Co-investigator, if I select that, for those multi-PI proposals, you do have the option here to click that checkbox, and that will designate them as a PI instead of a co-I. If you make them a key person, then you have to assign that role. So say they're a consultant, you assign that role according to whatever your sponsor requires and click add. Now, right below Lobo Lucy, you have a new person. The same fields are located under this external person. One very important thing that causes a lot of confusion for new users is that when you add an external person, they have to be associated with a unit. It doesn't make any sense necessarily because they're not at UNM. You can either use the unit that the PI is associated with, or what we recommend is that you just search for external, or just type in EXT, which means external, and assign them to that dummy unit. If you don't do that, it will cause an error. You won't be able to save this page. So just be aware of that. Also notice that this certification isn't required for this external person. It will also not be required of any key person. So only UNM PIs and co-PIs will have to fill out the person certification. And actually the person creating the record can do the certification for them if they're confident of the answers to those questions. I'm going to stop and ask if there are any questions. All right, then I'm going to keep going. The next panel down is, or the next section down is for special review. This is fairly simple. This is for animal subjects, human subjects, and cybersecurity review. And essentially this section will notify those relevant offices that a proposal is going in. And it allows you to provide your protocol information if you have it, and the status of your protocols. Under type, you have those three options. If you select human subjects, watch these areas to the right, you'll see that they change. And that's because human subjects is in Streamlyne right now. And so you would be able to link your proposal to an IRB protocol if you have one in the system already. So now you have a search icon. You could search the IRB section of Streamlyne for your protocol. And if you find it, then the approval status and the approval date and all this will fill in automatically. Once that's done, you could click add just to confirm that you have a human subjects proposal. If you haven't started your IRB protocol yet, you can either just select not yet applied and add that way, or, and this is kind of cool, if you select human subjects, on the far right here, you see an option that says start protocol. And if you click that, what it'll do is create a blank IRB protocol in the IRB section of Streamline, give it a number, and link that number to your proposal. You can then, whenever you get around to it, go to your IRB protocol and fill it out and submit it to the IRB committee. And that will allow them, as they review and approve that protocol, it'll keep the status updated in Streamline. So this says it's pending because it's blank, but if you had completed it and later it gets approved, when your award comes in, this would be listed already as approved, and they don't need to get any further information from you. Animal subjects and IT cybersecurity are not linked to anything, and so all you need to do there is select the approval status, say it's not yet applied, and if you had a protocol number, you could provide it, but it's not required. So I would add animal subjects just to notify IACUC that a proposal involving animals is being submitted. You can click save for good measure. I forgot to mention that as you move through these different sections, your document will save automatically. You don't have to worry about losing work. That is, as long as there's no errors on the page. If there's an error, it'll usually show up at the top of the page and it'll prevent you from saving until you fix that error. Nevertheless, click save often, just in case. All right, the next section down is for abstracts and attachments. If this were an S2S proposal, there would be a lot of panels here, places for you to put all the proposal attachments that go to the sponsor, places for you to upload bio sketches and that kind of thing. But for this, you're already uploading all that into research.gov, or you're sending it to your sponsor in some other way. So all you have here are internal attachments. And these are limited. We need a copy of your budget worksheet. And we have a brand spanking new, beautiful budget worksheet that's going to be coming out to help you. You need your budget justification. You need the proposal narrative or the statement of work, and a copy of the solicitation. And that will allow OSP to confirm that everything required has been done. If you have other special stuff like cost sharing or off-campus F&A rate, there are forms that you may also need to attach to this proposal. The attachment system is really easy. You select here the attachment type. So let's say I'm going to put in a budget justification. Most of the time you need to add a description, and then you just use this choose file to locate your file and upload it. You find the right file, click add. You can upload any kind of file. It doesn't have to be a PDF. It can be an Excel worksheet, a Word document. And once you upload the file, then you have these options on the right that you can replace. You can just view it. You can essentially download it. You could delete it. And this is nice because it's version control, essentially, instead of in Cayuse where you have just one big bucket where you add all your documents. This will allow you to specifically replace an old budget justification with an updated one. So add as many internal documents as you need. The other section for notes is just for any text information that you need to provide to OSP. And again, click add to confirm and save that entry. And that won't go to any sponsor, just to OSP. So very little work to be done there for most proposals. The next section down is for questions. These are a series of questionnaires. Most of these questions you already have in Cayuse in some form or other. They're mostly about compliance, about the research safety, issues about export control, and some questions about IT needs and cybersecurity. So you can use the little arrow to expand each questionnaire. You do have to answer all the questions that are here in order to submit your proposal. It shouldn't take longer than about 5 or 10 minutes for most proposals to do this. And we've tried to minimize the number of questions that are required for simple proposals. So some of these questions are conditional. So for example, does this proposal require a data management plan? If you click no, you can just keep going. If you click yes, it's going to pop up another question here where you can upload your data management plan directly, and if that's required. Similarly, most projects don't have cybersecurity needs, so we're going to try to have a fairly limited number of questions there, and only ask more questions of the folks that really do have those requirements. I'm not going to fill those out, and I'll show you that does generate an error for me later. In the budget section, you have to enter a very limited amount of budget information into Streamlyne, as long as you have your budget worksheet uploaded so that OSP can review the full budget. The way that budgets work in Streamlyne is that you can create multiple budget versions if you want to. You can create one, but you could try an alternate version. You have to give it a title and click add to start working on one of the budgets. So I might have an alternate budget because I thought I might want to be doing something different. If you have, when you have more than one budget, at the end, when you're ready to submit, you always have to select a final budget. So if you created more than one, that's really important because you're telling OSP which is the correct one. And you'll have to change the budget status to complete. When you select complete, it locks the budget for editing. Doesn't matter, you can go back and say it's incomplete and go in and work on it. Okay, so for now, I'm going to open this budget to work on it. And there's a very limited amount of information. In the budget overview panel, you are providing the information on the parameters for your budget. Are there cost limits? What is the F&A rate type? Most of the time it's going to be MTDC, but it might be different for particular proposals. Is there cost sharing involved? Are you using the on or off campus rates? In that case, you would need documentation. For cost sharing, you would need your cost sharing agreement. You can also write any comments here about what they need to know about your budget. On the bottom, you just need to enter your summary, basically your bottom line information on the direct costs, the F&A costs, and the total cost to the sponsor. What you'll notice is that above it, there are some instructions. Below almost all of the little red panels, we've put in instructions that will help you figure out how to use that section. In this case, we've guided you to which line on the budget worksheet corresponds to which part of this little table. So that should help you out. The budget periods will automatically be, by default, will be 12-month periods from the start date that you designated at the beginning. If you change that, you can click default periods at the bottom here to regenerate the 12-month periods. However, these are editable. You could make 2 18-month periods and delete the third. You could make 6-month periods and add additional periods. However, you need to configure your budget. That's the way it works. So in most cases, you'll just enter total sponsor cost, direct cost, F&A cost, and in some cases, you may have cost sharing or sponsor cost limits. There's a rates table located in here. No calculations are being made in Streamlyne in this version of the proposal, but these are available to you if you need to look up the current F&A rates. If you want to look up the current fringe benefit rates, they will be available to you. And then in the distribution and income section of the budget, this is only for cost sharing. So if I had indicated on my table here that I had cost sharing, then there should be something, oops, yes, there you go. There should be some information here to fill out, basically what index is the cost sharing being allocated to. In most cases, you won't have that. This section will just say cost sharing is not required. So you click on return proposal to go to the main body of your proposal document. Okay, that's most of the work that you need to do to submit a proposal. And we're almost at the end of the hour. I'm going to show you a couple other sections here. One is the proposal summary. And that's just an overview of all the different stuff that you've entered. And each panel here corresponds to a section of the document. You can see your budget totals. You can see the key personnel that are listed, the special review items, that you can access the questionnaires. This is nice for two reasons. One is that if you forget where you need to change some information, you can usually click back to that section using this as your tool. So I forgot where I needed to do the person certification. I can go down to key personnel and click view. It'll jump back to that correct part of the document. The other reason this is nice is for unit approvers, because you can see all of the proposal at a glance. You don't have to click through and look at every section. You can see what it is that you're approving here directly. The next section is proposal actions. This is where you can check for errors. So the data validation field here will check for errors. You click turn on validation and it'll look for things. Now, I know exactly what these are. For example, I did not select final and complete on my budget version. So it's going to tell me that I need to complete my budget. If I click fix, it's going to go to the budget and I can there call it final and complete, save, and oh, is it? That's because I didn't do cost sharing. Okay, I'm gonna go to this other one and call it final and complete. Oops. Ah. Okay, final and complete. And then when I go back to my data validation, that error should be gone. Okay, that error is gone. The rest of these errors are telling me I didn't complete those questionnaires. So those are the most common things you're going to see. A missing person certification is a very common error as well. Cost sharing is going to be a common error. If you've indicated cost sharing, you have to allocate it. Validation slows down all the navigation, so I suggest turning it off when you're not actively searching for errors. We have errors. Errors are going to prevent you from routing your proposal. Warnings will not prevent you from submitting the proposal. They're just things you might want to pay attention to. I don't have any warnings in this case. There's a copy function here. If you need to change your lead unit on the proposal or copy it for any other reason, I suggest just clicking all of these boxes. And that will copy all of the information over into a new document, and you can change the lead unit here. Just click copy proposal, and you'll have a brand new copy of that populated at the end of your action list. You can also view the route log. And so on my pending action, I need to complete this proposal. So that's pending. And then you can see the future action required. And this is just the routing queue, which unit approvers are assigned to it. If you find that there is a missing unit approver, if this requires special permission from somebody, you can add those people as ad hoc recipients in the panel below this. There are persons and groups. In most cases, you may use a person. So for example, if I need Monica to approve my proposal, I can search for her name and add her to my routing queue. You can add her to approve. That means that in order to be submitted, the proposal needs to be approved by Monica, or I could have her FYI, which just means she's going to see it and she's aware of it. Click add to add that person, and they will go into the routing queue. This section, this proposal action section, is also where you will submit the proposal to OSP for review. So the process is going to be that you will You will create an OSP appointment in advance of the proposal submission deadline. You'll meet right before you meet with them. You should click Route for Review, and that will send it to them and make it available for them to look at. This button that says Submit to Workflow will be gone, so it won't be confusing. Once you do that, you will work with OSP during the proposal review appointment to make sure everything looks good. They'll make sure that you approve of the final version that they have approved of, and then they will submit to workflow. And at that point, the PIs have to approve the proposal. The unit approvers, the deans have to approve the proposal. So the routing queue begins. Below that, you have permissions. This is if you need to assign anybody else to work on your proposal with you. If you have an FRSO working with you or another staff member, you can add them here. Again, using the search. If Jennifer's going to be helping me, I can add her. And you can give them different roles. They can just look at your proposal if they're a reviewer. If they're an aggregator, they can do anything, they can edit any part of the proposal. By default, the person who initiates the proposal is an aggregator and the contact PI is an aggregator. Anybody else needs to be assigned this role if you want them to have it. A budget creator can work in the budget, but can't edit any of the attachments or any of the proposal data. And a narrative writer is exactly the opposite. They can edit any of the proposal data, add attachments, delete attachments, but they cannot work in the budget. I would suggest most of the time you just want to make somebody an aggregator. Click Add. Make sure you give that person your proposal number. You'll see at the top here that both she and I have assigned roles. Often that's probably the first thing you want to do when you save a new proposal. Finally, we have Streams. Streams is for linking all of the different components of your project together. And so this is a really cool feature of Streamline. It's basically their signature feature. Your proposal document will be linked to an award record. It will be linked to any associated agreements, subawards, to IRB protocols, to conflict of interest disclosures. It will all be available as a stream here so that people can access the different parts of the proposal history. You don't need to do any work here. It's just a nice little tool. So before we end, I want to show you one last thing, and that is how you would approve a proposal if you're a unit approver. I'm going to go back to my action list. And
Melissa, I'm
Sure.
sorry to interrupt. One last thing that you should also remind people that they need to close the proposal when they get out of it.
Thank you. That's really important. Sorry about that. So I've gone back to my action list. Here I have one proposal that is awaiting approval. This could be because I'm a PI I need to approve. It could be because I'm a department chair or dean. In order to approve, I'm going to click on the proposal. This proposal shouldn't have any editable fields if it's something that I'd actually submitted. If I want to go to the proposal summary, look it over, make sure everything looks legit, and then go back to proposal actions. And that's where you click approve. There's a button that says approve. And that's all you got to do in order to complete your part of the routing queue. And to get to Monica's point, this is really important. When you add somebody, if you're working with somebody else on your proposal, it's important to click this close button every time you leave your proposal document. Yeah, you can just close your window and that seems like you've closed the document, but it actually, that will lock the document up and not allow somebody else to work in it. So you have to click close in order to remove the lock. The FRSOs and the OSP have the ability to remove a lock. You can also remove it yourself just by opening that document back up and clicking close. Okay. Any questions remaining? we're almost exactly on time. Sorry for running up to the very last second.
I don't see any questions in the chat either. You did an awesome job, Melissa. Thank you for that.
I
Very-
appreciate that. We are available for questions, and but if you get into the system and you're having trouble navigating around, if you have a complicated proposal that you're anticipating, please let us know, and we'll be able to work with you on it and to troubleshoot with you. We also will send you information. Once you've attended the training, you now have access to office hours with our FRSOs, and we'll be sending you a link shortly that will allow you to make an appointment, 15-minute or 30-minute appointment, if you have a particular troubleshooting that you need to do, or if you want to talk about how you need to submit a proposal coming up soon. And again, a reminder that we have some nice documentation available already on the streamline.unm.edu website. If you want to follow those along, you can begin to play in the system that we showed you today. All right, thank you everyone for your time and for attending. And again, let us know if you need any help.
Thank you, Melissa. That was great.
Appreciate it.